Hi, everybody. This is John from AU Packmule doing day 29 of our 30 days of live stream. Today, I have a special guest with me, and we're going to talk a little bit about Westworld and Blacksails and whatever else comes up in the chat. So many people here. I really do appreciate all of your coming by and visiting, having a party on Easter weekend. Hope everybody's having a great day. Brand the Builder, Broke Black Man 94, Alicia Kingston's here, Biotic Flux, T Baby, Ion Trone, Lav did an excellent live stream. If you didn't catch it live, make sure you go by and check it out. Plexi Bertrand is here with us also, and Candy Moore, of course. Red Walrus, nice, good to see you, man. Hopefully I'll be able to say hi to everybody as we get along. But in the meantime, let me introduce my guest, Justin Thomas Show from Focalizer Podcast. Also does a lot of YouTube material, but on different things. Broke Black Man 94 has been on his channel, and he's done a lot of fun stuff. So Justin, would you like to say hello to everybody and give us a little brief description on what's going on with you and your channel and your podcast?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for having me on. I have enjoyed your work in the past and even cited it in some of my interviews since you beat me to the punch. But no, I'm happy to be here. And it's the Justin Thomas Show. That's kind of how it started a long time ago off my iPad, which if you see a lot of private videos, that's those. But it has kind of evolved with this great support group that I have found within the community. And I have recently started Focalizer. I wish I would have called it broadcasting because it's not just podcasting anymore. But Focalizer, it's focalizershow.com, and right now it's just known as a podcast network. But essentially what we're doing is I have my podcasts and I do YouTube videos as well. I'm trying to do those more. But it's a network that we have got a few great bloggers on, and we are getting more and more people. And it's the general idea is that we want to have like-minded people come and get together and create content and, utilize the resources that I've built up a little bit and kind of just all help each other, not looking to own a bunch of people's the rights to their content at all. Like I tell everybody, the offers out there, if you are a talented content creator and you have something that you want to do, I want you to come over and we can talk. And the better content that we make as a group, in my opinion, it helps everybody. If we have a group of people and we're all creating great stuff and helping each other, it's only going to boost everybody up. So that's what Focalizer is all about. So that's the goal, is just to get a whole bunch of people over there and just kind of, get everybody under one umbrella. So,
Nice.
that's the idea right now. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But real happy to be on and talk about Westworld and Blacksails and Game of Thrones and,
Nice.
all the usual stuff. So, and thank you everybody for showing up in the chat. A lot of these people in the chat are actually the people that I'm speaking about. Great support group, and the offer is to them to come on over and create whatever they want, and just try to do what we're all trying to do.
No
express ourselves. So
exactly.
And I don't own any of the rights. So
I think that goes without saying. On my channel there are no spoiler-free episodes, so anybody that comes on knows that I don't ever do spoiler warnings like Radio Westeros does. They do they have a great spoilers are all books, but not here. We just say
I'm with you.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess sorry in advance, because I don't know if you've heard me. I hate it's like stabbing myself to have to put out a spoiler warning. I've done like 2 because I can't. I'll go off about it. You don't even want to get me going. I just feel that if you're on the internet and you're watching a YouTube channel that's talking about Game of Thrones and you find out something about Game of Thrones you didn't think you're going to find out, did you just assume you're watching poor content? You probably are watching poor content, but you don't go on the internet if you don't want to be spoiled. Don't go looking in the stuff. Don't go peeking your nose where it doesn't belong if you want to stay completely in dark. I don't get it. But very rarely, yeah, well, I say spoiler warning. So I'm with you, brother.
All right. So one of the things that people probably don't know about you is your affiliation with the Amina app on Westworld. Tell us how you got involved in that.
Kind of. I've been
That's
in
really
North
cool. I mean,
Carolina.
that's, to me, that seems like a really interesting place to be.
It is, and it actually I credit it for giving me a little bit more confidence to take it to the next level with getting my own website and starting the actual podcast and the YouTube channel. I came to North Carolina about a year and a half ago, 2 years, after being a DJ, a club DJ in Detroit, Michigan. I did that for about 11 years, and that was everything from DJing nightclubs to dance clubs on 8 Mile, to doing weddings and even wakes. Surprisingly, there's a decent amount of people that have DJs at their wakes, but just a little bit of everything. For those years, I didn't spend one weekend at home. I was always out. At one point, I was DJing 6 to 7 nights a week, making a lot of money, not saving a lot of money by any means. And I had a real good time, probably too good of a time. And I was about to hit 30, which now I'm about to hit 32. And I decided that I needed to make a little bit of a change because I have been to college multiple times and I don't have a degree to show for it. Gained a lot of knowledge, but I don't have that piece of paper proving I have it. So, the short of it was I wasn't living a healthy life and I wasn't following through on a lot of other things. So good time, but you can only do that for so long until you start seeing yourself as Adam Sandler from The Wedding Singer. So
11 years is a long time.
It goes by quick when you don't remember it. But so I came to North Carolina where I have a little bit of family, and I started working from home, originally with Amazon, and now with a friend who is a broker. So I had a lot of excess time on my hands. I obviously wasn't living in the way I was living before. So a lot of my passions that I had growing up in high school and throughout some of the schooling I did after high school. Like I went to Second City School for Performing Arts, where I did some screenwriting and acting. And I also have professional training with editing and camera work, stuff like that. This is a long time ago, so I probably need to get recertified, but I was working off an Avid. But me and my buddies always used to make movies, and we were doing like YouTube like type stuff before YouTube was a thing. And in my 11-year stint in clubs, I had a lot of fun, like I said, but I didn't do a whole lot else. And when I kind of came back to the real world and my head reattached to my body, a lot of those passions came back. My love for writing, my love for television and film, and editing. So I had my iPad at this time, and I started just messing around with iMovie again and stuff like that. But I stumbled upon Amino through Thrones. The Thrones Amino, because we over at Amino now, I'm a little bit a part of it. We send out we have some YouTubers give shout outs when we're launching certain, usually when it's launching a standalone. A standalone is the Amino app, like the Westworld is a standalone and Game of Thrones is a standalone. It's part of the community, but you can also get like the single app at the App Store. Sure. So they do that with the ones they think are going to be more prominent, are already larger. So I was on Thrones, and I had never really done any blogging. Like I said, it might sound silly or unrealistic, but it really was like 2 years ago, me coming back to the world, or at least coming back to more of who I was before I was in a club every single night. And I got more confidence because I remember I put my first post up and it was a featured post, which they could do that a little bit more often. Thrones lately, but the first one I ever did, they featured, it was like, will Jamie quit Cersei? You know, just a little, and I was just figuring out, I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know, and there's like a lot of, it wasn't like I expected, you know, not to be lewd, but a bunch of dicks to be, you know, to just talk crap about, because again, I hadn't been on something like this since I was in my late teens.
Gotcha.
And I got a lot of support, and I was like, this is cool, you know, because like I said, I was rediscovering these properties, you know, like films and television that I had been passionate about, again, so I really was interested in talking about it, and I really embraced it. So when I heard about Westworld coming out, I was like, hey, I wonder if they're going to have a Westworld amino. And of course they did. So I got in right away. And I think there was only like 120 people. And the leader at the time asked me if I wanted to be the curator. This is about like 3-4 days in. And it was a little odd to me, because I was like, all right, my posts are decent, but you know, it's kind of odd. But maybe this guy started this community and he didn't want to do it, or didn't want to do the work or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, I got time. I'm working from home. I can keep up with it on my iPad and check it and feature posts. So I started doing that, and I really got involved in Westworld heavily. I think more so because it was new, you know, like Thrones had been around, and of course I've been watching since the beginning, but the community wasn't new, and it's so large. So it was kind of cool, because it's like the people that are a part of it will attest that there's kind of like a starting little family, you know, that we've all known each other since the start. So it was cool to you know, take it to the next level. I didn't exactly understand the way amino worked at this time. Sorry, I'm a little long-winded. Sorry for the story. But what I'm getting at is the person that had offered me this position, like I said, I found that odd. And the reason I found that odd, like I said, I've only been there 3-4 days. I'm like, wow, this guy started this community and he already is trying to hand off work. And I figured out the reason for this about a month later. There are people that are Team Amino, like a lot of us know now, that are on these websites, that are on these individual communities. You always see, if you look at the leaders, it says Team Amino. Those are corporate people. There's only about 5 people that really work for Amino. They haven't monetized yet. They, you know, they get whatever, they do their cycles and they have investors. So I realized that when I went to a few other communities, that a lot of these people that didn't do much, because I'm like, these leaders don't do anything on here. You know, I'm like, I'm doing everything, because you can see the activity. I'm like, nobody's doing anything. And we have a pretty good. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't that shocking, but it's like, man, because it was my view that these people had like, because people do. Anybody can start an amino, and then you apply to get listed, but it's not like you have to pay money or be certified or anything. Anybody can start one. So I figured these guys started it because they loved Westworld, and they're not doing shit on it. So I found it a little bit odd. But again, we didn't have any problems. Everybody's pretty cool until we did have a problem. And I'm like, okay, because this guy is on there, the first person that does something inappropriate. I'm pretty cool. Like I said, I worked on 8 Mile and stuff, so I don't get offended too easy. But at the same time, if somebody's way out of line, you gotta at least message them, like, hey, can you take that post down, or blah blah blah. I don't want to have to do it, you know. Try to be respectful. This person, as soon as I did this, and this is the first time I tried to, you know, practice any authority at the lowest level, and they flipped out and said, I'm quitting and all this, and martyred themselves. And I was like, all right, so as a curator, all you can do is, you can't like ban people. You can just block them for a period of time.
Right.
So this person was just kept getting back on, and he had like, I'm not even joking, people that are part of this community can attest to this. He had like 4 to 6 pages of like a manifesto about how evil Justin Thomas is and how it's like a dictatorship. I mean, it's crazy. I printed it because I thought it was like actually kind of funny, but it was annoying. This is actually Thanksgiving that this was happening. And so I'm messaging the leader, the guy that had originally asked me to do this. And I'm like, hey man, I'm like, I really need you to step in and get rid of this person, because I'm trying to have Thanksgiving dinner. And, you know, this guy's coming on and calling me Hitler. you know, which I don't think is a fair, you know, analogy for me. And answer, no answer. And I'm looking, I'm like, these people aren't doing shit. And I start getting pretty lewd. Like I stop asking and I start telling and using some language that I, you know, ended up regretting. And finally I get a message back, and this gentleman tells me that, sorry, he's been in I believe it was Brazil, and he's gonna get rid of him right away. And he's like, and I put, if you aren't gonna lead, why don't you just promote me so at least I can take care of this if you don't want anything to do with it. And he's like, I just made you a leader and all that. I apologize. And I had just read an article that day about the creator of this app being in Brazil. And it was for Forbes magazine. And he was talking about Westworld and Game of Thrones and the community and how they were, you know, pitching it to investors. And things started clicking together for me. And finally it came around that the guy that I was in all this was not just a part of the company, he's the creator of the app. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, I mean, not like I'm being paid for it or anything, but I was, you know, I thought this was a guy that just liked
awkward.
Yeah, I thought this was a guy that just liked Westworld and started a community and then handed it off 3 days later. This turns out that because he's not on really any other communities, this was his community. Hopefully he's not watching this, that he's just supposed to be on, so he has an idea of like what it takes to lead, so he can like tweak the app, you know. This was like his own little like personal project that they wanted him to do, so he could engage in it as a user would to get the feel, so he could, you know, tweak it. And I had called him a motherfucker and lazy and all this shit when he's over giving interviews across the sea to Forbes. And that ended up getting me my promotion, though. And that's how the 10-minute now story that I've probably nonstop been talking for, that's how I became the leader of Amino, as I called the guy that made the app a motherfucker. And but he said I had moxie. And no, he didn't use those words. But he said, hey, he's like that's what leaders do. He's like, people aren't doing anything. And that's when I figured out that these other people, it's almost like an interest. They keep these people on there in case like I go nuts, which could happen. And you know what I mean? Start actually giving people reasons to write manifestos. And then, so they're protecting their interests. But yeah, that's, if you are interested in moving up within Amino, find the guy that created the app. I won't say his name because he'll use different names and pictures, but just try to call every leader a motherfucker, and you'll eventually get straight to the top.
All right. So, interesting story.
Yeah, never told that story actually.
November. So that was pretty much towards the end of the show, right?
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving because I looked at it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, because that was, I looked because you look at what they do for my lovely curator and partner over at Fogelizer, Joanna's. You can look and see like who's doing what, like featuring posts to see like who's holding up their end. And the last action he did was promote a leader. Okay. That was me. So yeah, that was it. So yeah, I think that the show ended. Did the show end before Christmas? I don't remember.
Yeah, it had to have, because I remember that time frame because my dad passed away on the 3rd of December, and before then absolutely, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah. So it happened even before December started.
Yeah, because it started in October. So, well, it's 10 episodes.
Actually, I think the first episode aired in the U.S. around the 2nd of October, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I was really shocked and happy about how successful that series was.
Absolutely. It's an interesting series in my opinion. Well, I'm sure in a lot of people's opinion, but it's one of those things that I think you get so many different people from so many different walks of life that have like their own invested interests in the show for different reasons. Like you get the tech junkies, you know, sure. Then you get the straight up like sci-fi. I don't want to say, I hate saying the word nerds, but you know, like sci-fi.
No, nerds is cool. I like nerd.
Yeah, well, it's cool now. You know, everybody's got everybody's got their cool nerd podcast. We're cool nerds, but yeah, no, the sci-fi people to the I mean, even there's a few podcasts out there that they do it because they're Western like enthusiasts,
Right.
and then there's people, because I'm not a big like sci-fi person at all, like really at all, and I I'm not really into AI. Now I'm getting a lot more into it because it's weeding into the story and, sentience and, especially from season 2, spoiler alert, whatever. I just posted this in Amino the other day because you reminded me that I am the leader there. So I did something, and it's been slow. So I posted in season 2, that is one thing that they've revealed. They're going to be investigating like the way that these hosts work more, the actual like biology, if that's the correct
How
word,
they're powered.
of them behind them
Yeah.
actually be killed. Because obviously they can, but it's not the same way. They don't need oxygen to the brain or a certain amount of blood or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, I love obviously the not so much the alternative timelines and the twists and all that, but it's I think it takes a really interesting twist on the Western and the sci-fi genres. So it's a different show. There's nothing on TV like it.
Nope.
And it brings a lot of different people together, and it brings a lot of different people with a lot of opinions too. So there's no shortage of opinions on Westworld, trust me.
Yeah, I bet. I really enjoyed doing the episodes that I did. My only real successful video was on the timeline, and that was thanks to Lav because she was confused on, what do you mean the timeline is messed up? I couldn't understand. So I just explained as I knew it, and a lot of people watched it. So, but yeah. The season 2 is going to be, from what I understand, the fall of 2018. Not even the Game of Thrones time.
Yeah, be quiet, dude. No, it's coming out like 2 weeks from now. People, go join. No, it's gonna be good. Yeah, he's right. It is, and damn it, and yeah, it's unfortunate.
There's nothing wrong with that, because that means they're going to take a lot of time to do the episode and make it right. I mean, the first season took what, a year and a half?
A long time, because they actually shot, I believe, in 2013 or 14 the pilot. And
right.
The pilot
and
was
9 months later was
amount of
the
money.
Second one, right?
Yeah. And I guess they didn't. I don't know if this is right or not. I've heard they didn't have that script completely out or ready when they started shooting for all 10 episodes.
Right.
Which some people, I kind of argue with some people about this, because they're like, how do they have it planned out because they figured when they pitched it to HBO, when they're shopping it, that they needed at least 5 seasons to properly tell the story they want to tell. Some people I've found through, and other, that means that they've written like 5 seasons every episode, of a script. And obviously I'm not a Hollywood screenwriter. I do it as a hobby, but it's the idea of is they have the broad strokes. They know the story they want to tell. They need to, fill in the gaps, but they figure they're not going to have a Firefly situation, when they don't get the chance to tell their story. So they have the broad strokes of where this story is going to go. So they figure it's going to at least take 5 seasons. So when they're shopping at the networks, if they can't get that, guarantee, or at least the closest thing you can possibly get in that industry to a guarantee of 5 seasons, ratings permitted, then it's not worth it. They need to move on. But yeah, I guess they didn't have that script completely done, but I've heard that, I know they're writing the scripts right now, and they plan on having them all complete for the second season. And another spoiler, man, I'm saying spoiler alert now. It's not going to start off, bucket. It's not going to start off surprisingly
where we left off.
It's yeah. And I think that's kind of cool, but I also got a question: is it a cop out? Because I assume we'll get a lot of flashbacks to what happened.
Sure.
But it's like, maybe they didn't know how to get out of that, because it seemed to me like...
honestly, I think it's the creative writing that they've done in season 1 is just going to continue in season 2. for them to start off where they left off would blow that whole timeline. I'm confused on who is the man in black. It's got to continue doing stuff like that, just like George does with Game of Thrones. He keeps you guessing on what's going to happen, and as soon as you love a character, he kills them. So in this case, I think they're doing a pretty good move by progressing the timeline ahead quite a bit before they go back.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that I don't think it's bad that they're doing that. I would say that I agree on Game of Thrones too, because George has his themes that he keeps, and some of them are murdering people, but everybody's got their thing. But I've actually heard that we're not going to really experience a lot of the trickery, that they're going to try to stray away from that, and this is going to be more of a straight up story.
We'll see.
I don't know if that's completely true, and I get what you're saying, but I'm a fan of that, because that's the one thing, and I know I'm not the only one, and whatever, I hate when people say it. I've got a blog that I made during what was it, the second or third episode when we first meet William, and I did predict that he was the Man in Black. A lot of people did. It wasn't that hard to get, and I think it's cool, and I definitely like that aspect. But I felt like Dolores's narrative, her storyline, for all the great acting that Evan Rachel Wood, that's like the Olympics of acting to do that character. She has to, they're like, be happy, then be sad, don't cry though, then smile. That's like exactly like what she had to do. And then they have the flies all over her face. But if you look at the actual narrative, it's it's not that great. You know what I mean? There's a lot of questionable things. Maeve's storyline and all that was fantastic, but I felt like they definitely sacrificed substance for trickery and thrills and shocks, turns, whatever you want to call them. But I mean, I definitely love the concept.
Yeah.
In the Nolans, it's not a new thing for them to be doing that. But I don't know. From what I've heard, that they're not. It's going to be more straight up, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. So yeah, this show's got a lot of places they can go.
I actually went back and watched Lost again, because the references were made with the Alice and Wonderland and a few of the other things, like the Man in Black. And the Man in Black's brother was the good guy. So I always thought it was Ford's brother that was the Man in Black. So, but that's the only reason why I kept pushing that as my theory. But I always got the Arnold is Bernard kind of a thing. I always got that pretty much dead on, and he was a bot. So I was pretty happy with that.
See, I didn't catch that as quick as others. And I also didn't catch Maeve's turn at the end really surprised me, which I really appreciated. When you talk about that, when you talk about the, who was the Man in Black truly, that's the one thing when you do like these like aminos and stuff like that, and you're part of the community, you're always, I mean, I'm getting alerted every time somebody, is even doing anything. And I'm seeing every theory. And for me, a little bit mad, and I can't, be rude or anything. But when people just have theories just for the sake of it, like just because it'd be surprising, doesn't move the storyline along. I'm not saying yours is like that, but it was funny because a lot of people, it seemed like they're making a family tree. They're not like, it's like, oh, well, maybe Logan is this. I'm like, and maybe somebody else is this, like Benjamin Franklin's great. I don't care. You know what I mean? It don't matter. Like, it doesn't do anything. But there was like literally ancestry.com going down in our chat rooms like nonstop, and I'm like looking, I'm like, ugh, I'm like, come on. But I mean, I find enjoyment in other things, and that's what's great about these communities and making content is we are people that our television and our film, we aren't satisfied after the 10 hours if it's 10 episodes, or if it's Game of Thrones and we get like 30 minutes for season 7. We need more, and we find ways to enjoy something that we love year round, which is actually pretty amazing if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us do it. I feel that, I get the same joy out of making a podcast or a YouTube video as some people get out of, watching them. We all have our methods. Blogging is great, and these fandoms are great, and these communities are great. We're passionate about something. I mean, that's what life is about. Some people, I feel, a lot of people from like my life, like especially my DJ life, are back home. I don't really share on my Facebook that I do YouTube or anything, because I feel, people probably don't get that. They're that guy loves some Game of Thrones a lot, but some people like to fish. Some people like to play softball.
Right.
I like to do those things too. I think it's pretty amazing that we're able to enjoy these properties for as long as we are. If you think about it, it's pretty crazy that we are able to push 10 hours of content for 365 days a year. I mean, go to Thrones Amino, there's no shortage of people, just that feed is constantly moving, so I think it's great.
Good.
And there's obviously theories that have more substance to them, but there's no reason to shame people,
Oh, my favorite one was the Westworld was filmed off planet, just because the original movie had that kind of feel where there was a long distance, and then the cost was totally ridiculous. But after the season was over, it was like, oh, that was not cool.
Well, that's definitely not answered yet, and that's something I think they'll address later. But the one compelling, I guess not compelling, but one interesting little fact about that is, it never rained from what we saw, did it? Did we ever see any ill weather?
Well, you're dealing with a climate that's similar to what's off the coast of Japan or even Southern California. It was filmed in Utah, so it's definitely not going to rain there. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying it always looked exactly the same.
I am Batman, T. Sorry. I didn't
hey, anytime you get an announcer you're Batman, that shit needs to get done. So they don't need to apologize. No, I mean, I think that there's definitely a chance that it's not on Earth, but I don't buy into that too much. But I guess they said like the size of it is what it'd be like the equivalent of driving through the Midwest. That's Nolan's quote. I don't really get that, but I in an interview, when I was more refreshed on Westworld, I knew how many square miles he said, but it's also an island, so that messes all that up. So it's like the size of our Midwest essentially. So, but it's definitely an island too. There's no way they could control it if it wasn't an island. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking for
trains, right?
Yeah, whatever. There's a bunch of theories about there's just, you can't talk about anything with Westworld without it. You can make an argument for anything with that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for all we know, they're all hooked up to the Matrix system. So, but but as far as Amino goes, I'm proud. I'm proud of the work. I'm proud of the people I've met. That's how I got together with one of the main people, the main person that helps me with the channel, Joanna. She's I made her the curator because she was competent.
Nice.
And then we started talking about like doing other stuff, and you meet like-minded people, and it's great. It's Reddit on your phone. Say pros of Amino is it's really used. There's a lot of cool features now, like with the trivia and the quizzes that you're able to do. Those are actually pretty cool, and it's free, and it's an easy little interface to use. It does kind of suck that it's very restricted to just Amino. You can share outside, but then people link it and it's going to try to get them to get the app and stuff. So there's, that, but I mean, you can't really, it's a lot easier than using Reddit on your phone. And there's a lot less, at least in my community, there's a lot less dicks than are on Reddit. I mean, man, if you make one grammatical error on Reddit, nail you to the cross. So
Can I
yeah, it's
make a
got its pros and
confession?
cons.
Unless I do a Google search and it takes me to Reddit, I don't go to Reddit. I don't understand why I would go there to be criticized, like you said. I think Lav said it best on one of her streams not too long ago. But yeah, it's so tough there. The it's just not a very friendly site. That's one of the reasons why I love this community that we're in. It's just so we can share ideas. Like um, Tony Teflon did a video um, about Arthur Dane being Mance Raider, and there are some things that I disagree with him on, but I still love him, still love his channel and his content, and I appreciate what he does more than anything else. And that goes for just about everybody. We're able to discuss it without anybody ranting.
Yeah, Reddit should be like called like Reddit. Their slogan should be like, "So you think you fucking know something?" Yeah, yeah, we're gonna pounce on you.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be like, all right, sorry about that. I'll tell you what it's like to kiss a girl. So yeah, it's that's the Thunderdome right there. I'm actually banned from Reddit because I wasn't even trying to advertise for Amino because again,
Did they call you Hitler
but
on there too?
Yeah, it's just a lot of people do have a German ancestry, but whatever. I wasn't advertising because again, I don't make money off it. There is a chance that once they monetize, which I don't know how many cycles of investments they're going to go through, but whatever, that we would be treated at kind of like the same way YouTube, that was their how content creators on YouTube are treated. I'm like, oh, so horribly. But yeah, there would be ad revenue for like leaders and curators, and they already do track our stuff. So, but again, I wasn't advertising, but I was sharing an article that I had blogged on Amino, obviously, and I wanted to see what the fine people of Reddit had to think about it. And I put it on there, and they warned me once because they thought I was like promoting Amino, and I was like, no, it's a link, man. And I did it one more time, and man, they're sticklers over there at that Reddit, so I'm off there. But no big deal. I don't mind. Enough people say enough things about me. I don't need people to say it on Reddit too, so yeah. I'm good without them. But yeah, and I agree with what you're saying, like in the Tony Teflon statement. Do I think that that's a theory that's gonna probably play out? No, but did he do that video? He could have did that video on the Watcher on the Walls spoilers and read right off that and shared the same pictures that everybody else is doing.
Well, so I wasn't trying to say that he believes that Mance is Arthur Dane. It was actually just the opposite. But go watch the video to be sure. But it's just the fact that it could be even with Lav, or Marie, anybody that's on here. T-Baby for sure. I could disagree with her, and we could have a conversation about it. It's not it's not a bad thing. So
no, absolutely. And well, I don't know if you watched my last 2 videos on Thrones, but that's embracing exactly what I'm going for with the Bittersweet and Nightshade. Yeah, that was the connection that Joanna had originally came up with, and we did a video on it, and that gives some weight to the brand theory of it being a dream, which is not going to happen. But we are making a connection that's interesting. We're bringing you new knowledge from in the Game of Thrones community, which is a hard thing to do. And the one I just did, the one I put out yesterday, which I was a little bit skeptical on how people are going to feel, but I've actually gotten a few people that they run a few essay sites where they really look into like the connections with mythology and folklore, and they gave me, these were some Reddit type guys, and I don't want to pat myself on the back, but they were saying that nobody had made Joanna again came up, she's her and Bran are our brainchilds for Thrones, at least with the theories and stuff like that. So she had brought up that the harp is is symbolic in Celtic mythology for a immortal soul. soul, you know. So obviously there's a lot of people that think Rhaegar is still alive, and so that aids to that. So when I do a video, of course, I also do some of my own research, and I even say this in the video because I stumbled upon this story of the Dagda, and it's a old Irish folk tale from the 12th century. And I again was like, damn, this is a lot of information. I thought I was but it really, like, and this is a series too, and I would really like to like give this to a channel more like um do it, but it's not what I'm looking to do. Like a history of Westeros is, I'm not connected with them whatsoever, but I just love those. I love Aziz, you know, like, and
Sure.
they do, their research is so good. If you look on their Patreon, like if one of the highest donations, that's what you get access to their notes. And there's a reason for it, because they don't have videos out every day that's telling you what that 30-second,
Right.
you know, little HBO show with,
Yeah, a lot of
they're wearing a different shirt because it's cold. Okay. But evidently there are 48,000 people like that in an hour. So, but the point is, I just made the connects. And do I think that Rhaegar is still alive? No. Do I think that this is very interesting and built upon it? Because I think that George could have possibly used this tale to, you know, inspire his work, since he picks from so many different things. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's a conversation. It's not the look how much I fucking know show. It's let's
exactly.
And that's what a lot of people have. It's like, did you notice this? Well, guess what? I did. Dummies. So it's Reddit. It should be the Reddit show.
Yeah.
So God forbid you misspeak. But yeah. So I mean, that's what it's all about. So yeah, I didn't see Tony's video, but I'm all for it. And I don't. And it's amazing though, because people don't. I've only done 2 of these, and I've gotten pretty much positive feedback. But oh man, the Brandon the Dream thing, some guy, I'm gonna shoot myself in the head, and I'm like, well, first off, that's a little extreme. But you know, like he's like, this is not what's gonna happen. That's not George's way of doing. I'm like, did you listen? Like I straight up say I don't think it's gonna be it. Yeah. You know, we're just giving you guys some more tools to make your theory. Yeah. But it's like, oh, that motherfucker, he said it. You know what I mean? So but hey, they're passionate because they love it, or they hate me. I don't know. So theories are they're a thin line to walk, I've found. So
tell me about your intro. You have a really cool intro for your show.
Are you talking about the one that I just started using, or the one that has the
the one that you did with the harp and Nightshade, both?
Man, that one's not as good of a story. That I don't. Somebody just asked me where I got that from. Here's the truth, and it's not. I'm not stealing. I guess I am stealing it, but I don't know where it comes from, because I found that like a year and a half ago, 2 years, when I was still had my tables, mixing tables, turntables, and I was making like a mashup with a few. Like I was just looking on SoundCloud for songs that were like intro mashups, and I wanted to make kind of like a nerd. I didn't even have a podcast or anything, but you know, I was just messing around, and so I have almost the full portion of that song, I believe, in this mashup. So I remember I had that, and I had it on I think in Dropbox. So I just took the other songs out and used that. So somebody just asked me that today in a comment, and I offered to like link them a download for this name. So it never pops up on, you know, being whatever copyright infringement. So
you would have definitely gotten a notice by now if it was a problem.
It's a good song. It's my song. It's my song. I did it. Now I'm gonna get one. But I did the one that I actually did though. It's just too long, and that's the thing with YouTube, because it's like you spend all that time making a nice long intro and using my DJ skills, and they're like people, you notice they stop like listening halfway through your intro if you look at your analytics, because they don't have the attention span. But it was I mixed a whole lot of just clip. I found this old like 70s like song and kind of mash the beats up a little bit to throw off that copyright. And man, I should not be, this is live, isn't it? And I put in like clips from Westworld and Game of Thrones. I put in Walking Dead. I put in Negan making Carl sane, and then I have that awesome clip of Sansa in Jon Snow before the Battle of the Bastards when she's like, haven't you ever wondered if I would know anything? Don't you want to ask me anything? And he's like, fine, what should I do? And she's like, I don't know anything about battle. That's like my favorite scene. She's just whining that nobody asked her, and then she just doesn't know. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's over 30 seconds, so people are just like fuck that. But no, I would love to find out. Maybe some guy will knock on my door and he'll be the real King Slayer, and he'll probably sue me.
There you go.
But oh well,
Kick it.
he can sue me for all the YouTube money I don't have, all that hypothetical money.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Fun stuff. So basically, what is the best way for people to, like, if they don't want to use the app on your phone, you know, as a portable, is it a good way to do it with your, you know, regular computer, your laptop?
Amino?
Yeah.
Oh, technically no. There is a program that I've utilized called BlueStacks that allows you to sync up to a Android phone, so you are an Android tablet. Unfortunately, it won't sync up to your Apple products for some reason. I'm sure there is something out there to do it, but I just had a cheap Android tablet that I had from a long time ago, and you can sync your apps, and it works pretty good. But no, that's the holdback of it, and I don't understand that, because I mean, I do a lot of typing on my iPad. I'll admit that, but
Me too.
I would think that's not the best way to go about, you know, for people to be blogging. Like, oh, only make it so it's on their phone. Which, I mean, phones are, yeah, it's not the 90s, but you know what I mean.
Exactly.
I would have thought they would have had a desktop adaptation, but they didn't. So I'm probably not the leader even as of right now. I was going to simultaneously stream this through the site. I did not. So maybe that was a good sign. But no, unfortunately. BlueStacks, so it's a free program. So
And you got gray area to do your intro, your pre-intro.
The voiceover. Yeah, because I heard so much about this gray area about 2 months ago, and well, I'm happy I did. And I went to her channel and I heard her voice, and I was like, man, I just want her to read me a book, you know. And I have a little bit of an issue. I do have a good voice. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I have what's called the announcer syndrome, and it's because of my long time of ladies and gentlemen, for the first time as husband and wife, and Sandy Sandbox on there with the redheaded slut shots for $3 for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? I got that carny kind of you know, thing that you pick up as a DJ. But she has no professional background with it whatsoever, and she, like I mentioned in the YouTube Confidential, she inflects at the right moments and stuff, and I believe it's because she's passionate. You know, I mean, it's when you really understand what you're reading that you read it well. But yeah, I was like, man, I could love to give her, you know, because it sounds nice. I mean, it's like, hey, it's the Justin Thomas show with Justin Thomas. Hey, I'm Justin Thomas. You know what I mean? It's a little bit repetitive. So she was great. She did that voiceover for me in a closet at her work, because she had to go to New York like in 24 hours. So I couldn't be more thankful. She's so talented, and I congratulated her for 3,000 subs in the YouTube Confidential, which is like 3 weeks after your interview.
Right.
2 days later, like $4 grand. I mean, I'm happy as hell for her. I mean, especially because she's not doing the regular spoiler thing that people are buying Ferraris with the money from now. But you know, it's great to see a content creator like her, that she does great. It's intelligent. She's doing, like I said, those text-to-text connections. She's doing Norse mythology, and she's making it so that Tad Williams, I think that's the name of the guy that wrote the book that George draws heavily from, she's providing us, like, it's not just even with the conversation, but with, you know, now we can go look at these books. I mean, it's interesting. It's not just an info drop, but it's interesting, and yeah, it's informative. So I mean, not that she hopefully it jumped to 9,000 in the last minute, but no, she deserves it.
Yeah.
Person too, that YouTube Confidential, I've had so many issues with my recording
Oh,
for
I heard. Yeah,
for
I remember from that.
if some of these people
I'm
in the
so happy
chat
she
are,
agreed to come back, because that's got to be the most frustrating thing as a YouTuber or any kind of content creator, is for the
yeah,
audio or video equipment not to work. It's just so frustrating.
it's terrible, and I've done, it's happened so many times, and it definitely, because I do like to conduct myself professionally, whether this shows that or not. And she's a great person, you know what I mean? And we had talked. We're not best friends, but I would like to think that we're good acquaintances, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel comfortable talking to her, but no matter what, it's like I don't want to have to be like, hey, because we did the first interview on the first day twice.
Wow.
And it was two different issues. And this is Zencaster. Don't use I have good friends that were the #1 podcasts for Westworld, and all these other people do Zencaster. Ask Joanna, ask BBM, I have see, like, especially when you hear for the first few ones I did, like abrupt endings and stuff, it's because the audio went. It recorded the 55-minute interview, gave 16 minutes of hers, and it's just horrible. You know, I've just resorted to using what we're using right now and just making it private, and then I put it into Audacity, and I separate the tracks, and I just
Right.
I compress and do what I can with it. You get a little bit more echo and stuff, but it's fucking ridiculous. And I don't know if it's because I'm right outside of Raleigh, but we don't have the best internet here yet.
Sure.
And I don't know what it is, but it's not good. It's not good. I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's embarrassing, you know. And I mean, but bless her for coming back and doing it. So
Absolutely.
she's fantastic and very interesting.
So what made you think about doing podcasts versus just either live streams or YouTube video on an informational basis?
I think that, well, like I said, when I first came down here, I started because because I'm not wasting my money when I was DJing, you know, like I said, wasn't too responsible. But now that I've been, you know, working and doing things right, I've been able to invest a little bit. And before that, I was just messing around on my iPad with iMovie and doing silly stuff, and the audio was never good. So the first thing was I wanted to get a microphone that worked. And I'm familiar with sound, but it's amazing how much doesn't transfer from being a club DJ to me.
Right.
Because I mean, it really doesn't transfer really at all. But I got some good advice. This is a great mic right here. This mic's only like $110. It's a directional mic, but Audio Technica, and these headphones too.
Is it the 2020?
Yeah, I believe it is. Great mic. In these headphones to Audio Technica, great stuff. It's directional, so it's really good for podcasting or voiceover. You don't want to get it if you're in a room with other people. But yeah, so I invested in some equipment and stuff like that, and I've done video editing since I was 16 years old, like I said, but I don't know what it was. I felt like, I think it's what I was kind of talking to you about. Maybe it was, I thought, because this is a general misconception, and a lot of that I've been in talks with, they all seem to think that doing a podcast is like a dream. Oh man, if I could just do a podcast and sit and just record me and my buddies, assuming it records, and you know, it's gonna be so easy and all this. I don't really have an answer for why I went that route at first. I think it's because maybe I had messed around kind of like, you know, half-assed with YouTube before, so I felt like I might have like tainted myself by making what I consider to be subpar content. So I just was like, I'll just go another avenue, you know. I'll check this out. It was always my intent to have a YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
But
it just seems so easy to do YouTube versus podcast because of the having to do the editing part, especially on just audio. But that's just me. I'm not sure.
What you think which one's easier?
I think the YouTube would be much easier, but then again, I'm just that's just me.
Yeah, I guess it depends. There's the thing. Okay, here's the thing with podcasting. Everybody seems to think that they just want to go and watch. I mean, a lot of people had podcasts. I mean, I bought this microphone. I had a podcast, and that's the truth. You know what I mean? I would like to think that I'm intelligent and I bring a different, viewpoint to things and whatever, and entertaining. My content is growing. I'm growing. I expect to be better every single week and every single year, and I'm patient. This isn't money right now. It'd be awesome if that ever happened, but it's something that I'm deeply involved in, but I'm not depending on. So I've got the patience. But you can't just do a podcast. Okay, this is the idea that you're just going to get around because you and your buddies are funny, right? Everybody has this great, oh man, if I could just record me and my friends talking about movies or a show or sports, whatever, shit, it'd be way better than any show. Guess what? It's not, and you're not that funny. I'm not that funny. I'm not as funny as I think I am. I'm not as clever.
I don't drink, so I'm definitely not funny.
Well, that makes it better. At least you're aware of it. You know what I mean? Like when you're, oh man, I probably wasn't as good of a club DJ as I thought. They kept paying me. I don't know, but yeah, that's the thing. And the thing is that nobody, because it's like we just kick back and and shoot the shit. Nobody wants to see somebody just untuck their shirt and kick back if they've never seen them with their shirt tucked in. You know what I mean? If that analogy makes sense. Okay, maybe I'd like to see Anderson Cooper bad whatever, but kick back and shoot the shit over some beers. But that's because I watch him on CNN every day, in a very professional state. So it's interesting. If nobody knows who you are, nobody wants to see you kicking back on your Friday night with your buddies and just shooting the shit. That interesting. So
there's a lot of writing involved, basically, is what you're saying.
Well, there can be. But like I did improv and I've done acting, amateur levels, but it's more like improv. You want to have an outline and you want to have beats that you want to hit, but you don't want, okay, in improv, if you have a joke in your head that you think is going to be funny and you're just waiting and you do everything you can to get to it, it's not funny. Things have to naturally occur. So you need to have an outline. And that's the hardest thing. And that's what we're dealing with right now is, well, we've stopped kind of doing group casts because every single one of them just loses the audio. But if you are doing a group cast, you need chemistry. That is important. And some people do have it, but you can't just count on that. And you do need to have, there's a method to the mayhem. And the difference, I guess, with the YouTube videos is you are going to be more scripted. And if you are doing a podcast live, obviously, which I don't, you only have one take. And even if you're not doing it live, you don't want to do that much editing. So you don't really want to start over too much. And once you start talking, as you can see, I do this, I don't stop. So you usually don't realize it's shit until it's done anyways. So I guess the difference would be video editing, audio. It depends on how good you are at either, but none of them are things that don't take a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to do both. Audio editing's slightly quicker, in my opinion, but it's just there's going to be more structure, and you're going to approach a YouTube video with more of a more of an idea of exactly what you want to do. A podcast is something that you're kind of rolling the dice in most cases, unless you're doing a straight up. I mean, because a lot of times you release both as a YouTube video and a podcast anyways.
Sure.
And a lot of YouTube videos are just as good, sometimes might be better as a podcast. So it just depends, but I wouldn't say one's easier than the other, but I would like to stop hearing people tell me, man, that's what I'd love to do. But I guess the grass is always greener.
I get that a lot with voiceover. People are always saying, I would just love to do voiceover. I'm like, that's tough work.
Yeah. That's
because it's a grind.
Oh my, and you need to know what the hell you're doing. Do you do voiceover?
I have done some, yeah. So
really, yeah, you have a good voice.
But in regards to the program, do you always use Audacity, or have you ever used Reaper?
No, I know of Reaper. I've always used Audacity just because it's free. It's free. I'm poor. No,
it's okay. Broke Black Man would say the same thing.
I mean, It's got the most tutorials on YouTube. It's widely used, and there's no reason not to use it. I mean, essentially, just quick rundown of what you do with audio after is you take it, you got to take out all your ums and yes and f bombs, or if you're working with some people, you know, every single time they misspoke. But I once took out 31 FUs or shits or whatever, like in 20 minutes from this guy I don't work with anymore. Pretty sickening. But you compress the audio, you normalize it, you bass your boost, you normalize it, you bass your treble, you normalize it, and you take the high ends off, and you know, I mean, that's like the basis.
Sure.
So it's pretty, and all programs can pretty much do that. So I just felt like, because DJing, I never used Audacity. I used I used Tractor for my mixes and stuff, and that's just
different needs, though.
Way different. Yeah, I mean, I needed to know my BPMs. I needed to, you know, have a digital visualization of my tables so I could see. I mean, I can look at a wave and know when it's bass, you know. But that has done nothing for me in my 30s. So, but but yeah, Audacity. So
okay,
I don't see any reason not to.
So I'm going to talk about one more TV show that I have followed since the beginning, and that's Blacksails. And I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, I'm one of those people too that, like, if I think something's good, like, and you're in the same room with me and we have time to watch something, we're gonna watch it, and you better watch it. Like, I'm like, hey,
you're gonna sit there and you're gonna like it.
Yeah, like, I want to know what you think, and if you don't like it, you better have you're gonna write 300 words or less. Why? You know. But yeah, I love it. I watched it when I first got down here, and I liked it a lot. And then I did a second rewatch just out of boredom, and I really just I found it very interesting. It's almost like politicking on the high seas, but there is such good writing in that show, and Michael Bay having his name on it throws people off.
Right.
But in all reality, you have to have a Michael Bay like person on a show that deals with, you know, you don't see a lot of pirate shows because it's hard to shoot them. You got to get tanks and build half boats and stuff. It's very high production.
Yeah,
but
expensive as hell.
I find it, the relationship between Silver and Flint and Max and Eleanor,
Billy,
the conversations that they have, and just there's a lot of great scenes. There's a lot of great quotes. It's kind of like me against the world story to a point. It's kind of a buddy story. It's kind of a story about stories, if that makes sense. I just love it.
Who was telling it?
Yeah.
I definitely think the point of view of Game of Thrones comes through in Blacksails because of whether you're English or you're a pirate from Nassau. Who's telling the story makes a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who is your protagonist? I mean, Flint had his reasons, but, you know, also he does some pretty crazy stuff.
Super
you
crazy.
Know, it's still, I mean, and that's just like real life. I mean, like, there's like that quote about war that, you know, we look back and we say they were the good guys, they were the bad guys. Usually in the midst of it, even the people fighting it don't know. And it's not, you know, I mean, but it's great. I mean, if you really like look into the relationships, especially Flint and Silver, is just, I was just watching an episode last night with somebody that I'm planning on doing the podcast with. I'm having them watch it, and they wanted to. I'm not forcing them to watch it because I did the introduction for this, but then I thought I got stuck, and that's why it didn't come out as quick after it's been 2 weeks, because I've got somebody watching it fresh.
Yeah.
So I can have them on with me, because I did the first episode, and guess what it was? It was a Look How Much I Fucking Know show. So
kind of like how History of Westeros does with House Beard guy. What's his name? Richard? No, not Richard. I'm so sorry. What's his friend that does the videos with him? The episode reviews? Sean. I am so sorry.
No, you're fine. I think that's the name. I mean, we don't have to know their names. Sorry,
well, I
Sean.
followed that you're just talking about podcast. I
Fandom
followed
media.
that since AA podcast. It was, Steve the friggin' Italian was, I used to listen to him all the time.
Yeah, he
And so,
passed, I guess.
yeah, in October, November. I think it was October. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of them now and I listen to it, but yeah, I mean, out of like just respect in general, I've had the pleasure of doing one little thing with them, but it was on a terrible channel that I'm not involved with anymore, but still,
Yeah.
just even talking to Aziz for a little bit, I really respect him. All those guys, I'm sorry, now I can't think of her name, but his girlfriend.
Ashea?
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, they take their time. Yeah. They're not the last harpy. They're not popping up every 5 minutes in your feed. Wait a minute. I got 18 last harpy updates. I guess Jon Snow could be the prince that was promised. Has anybody heard about this? I don't know. This is news to me. It's 48,000 views.
I don't want to spoil Blacksails, unlike most everything else, because I think a lot of people haven't seen it. But if you haven't, definitely take a few minutes and watch at least one episode. Kind of like I wasn't a Walking Dead fan at all. And this year I started watching from the first episode and finally got to where I was caught up. But this is much better. This is a different show. And for those of you that are offended at every bit of nudity that's on Game of Thrones, don't watch Blacksails. But if you can handle that, you're going to be fine.
And that goes, and that's interesting too. And I think that now that it's on Hulu, and that's one of the main reasons I'm doing this series, I don't see it as late to the party so much, because I feel that they are going to be more popular after they're gone than they were when they were on, because they're on Hulu now. And I think people are going to really start taking to it. It kind of slid under the radar, and that's my kind of obsession with it, is how it did that. Because that show actually, there's really no YouTube content creators that have really covered it well on a regular basis. Like Enchantment of Eternity and all that. He did well, but he didn't not his fault, but I don't know him, but he got on it then too, and he did a series review, like short one. He did a good job. I'm not talking shit about him or anything, but in general, for a show that's so close to Game of Thrones, when you look at it in a very simple way, it's very surprising. And the show actually premiered on YouTube, so it's just crazy to me. But there's a Fathoms Deep podcast, and it's these two women, and they've had every actor on, and they've had the show creators on twice. And they're not a big podcast, but that just shows you how much it means to these actors and stuff, and they've flown under the radar. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I've got the friend watching it, and we're gonna start discussing it. And yeah, The Walking Dead, I was the same way. I didn't start as late, but how'd you feel that you started from like a really good show, and then were you happy when you got caught up? Because you kind of just got caught up and it's terrible now, in my opinion.
Are you talking about The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Please, let's just not talk about The Walking Dead.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'd rather talk about the Blacksails, because it just seems like a much more easy transition for most people that watch Game of Thrones. And it's historically pretty accurate. One of the things that I do like, especially for people that are in your area, the Carolinas were just covered with pirates. I'm originally from Miami, and there were probably more pirates in Carolina than there was in Florida, which is crazy because it's only, 100 miles from Nassau, but they seem to like going to the what did they call them before they were states?
Oh, the colonies.
I'm sorry?
The colonies.
Yeah, colonies. Yeah, exactly.
I think that maybe the reason for that would have been because you're right, because that would have been Spanish Florida, and
exactly.
Yes, and they kept stealing from the Spanish. So, but yeah, I mean, absolutely, I did that. I did a two-parter on the best I could for the the historical period, and this is a story that is technically a prequel to Treasure Island. You don't need to watch Treasure Island, or not watch it, or well, you can, or read it to understand it, but it's technically a prequel to Treasure Island, but it's also got historical figures in it and historical events, and it's very surprising. In some cases, they don't, and they don't need to. They don't follow these historical events, or the historical figures really don't resemble, from what we know, too much of the actual person. But in cases like Charles Vane, in some of the stuff he does, they're like really accurate with it. It's, you know what I mean? It's very surprising to me.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing story. The dialogue, the tension. There's great fighting, but I'll tell you what, the tension between Flynn and Silver. That's the scene I was just watching last night when they're on that. They're in the, what's it called, where they don't got any wind. It's the, I always forget the name, but whatever. And they go out to that whale, and they're killing those sharks. But the tension in that scene, when they're talking with Flint's back to him, I know nobody knows what we're talking about, but there's so many things. It's like, are they going to be able to move on from this? And then literally, like, they figuratively and metaphorically, they do move on from it, because they start rowing together. Because you know what I mean? It's like, is he going to kill him, or is he going to do this? It's like, I don't know. I make all these connections. There's all this meta stuff, and I find the interaction between the characters great. And because that was the thing, they couldn't do just all these high sea battles. It costs too much, and they filled that time fantastically. So I highly recommend it. Great actors in it too. So I'm glad. Man, if anybody likes it, I'm just all up in their business.
Yeah, I really liked it.
But
yeah, I thought the last episode was probably the best of them all. It was more of an intellectual battle, and it was really telling the whole story at the very end, and I loved it.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. It's almost a story about how powerful stories are in a way. It really is. I mean, Silver's a great example of that. How did it, without any spoilers, man, no, I guess I'm just a spoiler guy now. How do you feel about how they left it? Do you feel like they were clear, or do you feel like?
I thought it was perfect. Yeah, I couldn't have asked for. It wasn't the Breaking Bad where he kills everybody and it's all a puddle of blood, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But it was, so, like I said, it was just very intellectual. That's one of the reasons why I liked Westworld, is that it had some substance behind the script. It wasn't all bang up, blow everything up and everybody's dead and that sort of thing.
And that's one thing I do have an issue with, is there's so many deeper questions to ask about Westworld than who Logan's stepbrother is. The whole idea of sentience, the whole idea of like that's a subjective thing. And I think that I just think that, I won't do a whole PSA on it, but I think that there's a lot of questions that they want us to ask that don't get asked as much, but it's kind of their own fault because of the, twists and turns. So but you can enjoy it on so many levels. And I guess that's something I look for in a show. I sometimes think, because I watch TV in a different way, and I'm assuming a lot of content creators do, we don't just watch it, maybe some shows just at its, like, looking at it at its base, like, is it entertaining? Can I just sit down and watch this? We're analyzing it. So I think, like, a real test of a show is, like, is Westworld, like, just entertaining if you're not even caught up in, like, the meta aspects, or the morality involved in it? Is this correct or not? Is it entertaining? It's just a shoot 'em up at Western. I think it is. Is it entertaining as an intellectual, show? Yeah, I think it is. I think that's amazing if they can pull that off, because I don't usually watch network TV. I don't like things that wrap up in 20 minutes, but obviously, like I always say that, like, because we obviously all love these shows so much that we're not the type of people that's like, well, we're content waiting till next week. Like, if we had George R.R. Martin in a room and he was going to tell us the whole story, which he probably couldn't, but we wouldn't let him get up to use the bathroom. He would be sitting in that chair until it's done. And
well, that's one of those shows you have to watch. So
Yeah. Even furthermore, I'd have a gun and be like, you ain't going anywhere until this is done. So, yeah. And there's somebody, oh yeah, get up and go up. But he ain't going anywhere. All right. Winds will never come. But yeah. So it's I don't know. It's everybody's got their own thing. There's nothing wrong. I've learned not to sneer at people that watch things that, I was kind of a snob for a while. Oh, you're watching, whatever, some Chicago fire or something, but some people, they just want to relax, and that, that's their thing. There's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, I'm assuming they don't really want to talk about all the, politics of Westeros. So, everybody's got their thing, and
yeah,
and
sure.
you got to be accepting of it. So, and that's, if we're to say one more thing, the Vocalizer network that I started, it's just a website, and the whole idea behind that is to have like-minded people, especially a lot of people that are in this chat that are good people that have been dealt some shitty circumstances with some people that aren't the best to work with. The idea, and
I think
we've
we've
already
all
brought
had
over
experience like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to cry about. But the point is, with it, is it's not. We have a few people over there already. We have Bran, we have Joanna, I have Jezebel, and I just got another writer over there. Come over and blog if you're a blogger. We will talk, and if you have interesting stuff, come over and write some articles. And if you have your own website, we link it. If you're a podcaster, if you're a content creator of any type, and you're looking to group up with some people, I'm not looking to take a piece of the hypothetical money, or even if you have money coming in. We're just looking to get a group of people over there, because it's my idea that if you surround yourself with talented people and let them do their own thing, it boosts us all up. So anybody that's looking for a little bit of, because there's a lot of people, I'm one of them. I'm in a state right now where I don't know a lot of people, so I count on the communities, from people all the way from Australia to Britain, to collab with. So we're not greedy people. I pay for a website, I pay for some equipment. If I can aid in any way, that's great, because in the long run, everybody wins. Everybody promotes their stuff. People go through the website, people click on the channels, and everybody wins. So anybody that's looking for a support system, or kind of a think tank or whatever, let me know, because that's what we're looking to do. We're not looking to, nobody's signing any contracts. So we're not looking to try to steal hypothetical money here. So, but
Very cool.
That my little spiel on there. So you too, you seem like you know what's going on with a lot of stuff. You can be the CFO.
Okay.
Of all the hypothetical CFO with all, especially with YouTube right now. I want those freaking breakdowns of the earnings. All right, you're like zero again, Justin. It's zero.
Yeah, you should see my YouTube paycheck. It's amazing.
You get a paycheck?
No, I'm not monetized at all. So yeah.
Yeah, they said my lifetime earnings would.
No, I was going to say, Plexi asked a question that's pretty interesting. What shows do you feel are criminally underrated or underwatched?
Obviously Blacksails. The White Queen, and now a lot of people seem to be aware, and it's probably because of the actress that played Catelyn Stark has now taken on a role in it. But the White Queen on Stars was on 2 years ago, and now they're doing the White Princess.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the story.
Sorry, I apologize.
Sorry. I don't know who's doing it. It's probably me. It's the story of it's the War of the Roses on the first one. It's Elizabeth Woodville who marries Edward of York, in joining the houses of Lancaster and York, and that series goes all the way up to Henry Tudor, Henry VII, coming from France, and in beating Richard III. Richard of York at Bosworth, and becoming the king, and he marries the princess, the White Princess, which is Elizabeth York. So this is the story of Henry VIII. If you've ever watched The Tudors, which that's a good show, but please don't think that that's history. That this is his dad and his mom, and I hope it's good. The White Queen was good, and I would say if I had to go for one more, I've heard The Badlands is good, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know what to tell you on that one. But yeah, I mean, pretty much just Blacksails is highly underrated, and if you're looking for comedy, something a little bit different than what we usually talk about, it's called Crashing with Phil or Pete Holmes on HBO. It's a great series. It's about a stand-up comic that gets divorced and he has to crash on a different stand-up's couch every single night. So it's got a lot of funny people. That in Silicon Valley. So I don't know, AU, you probably have some better recommendations.
Well, this year for me it was Taboo. A lot of people, I was surprised, didn't know about it, and I just absolutely loved it, with Tom Hardy and Uma Chaplin, who is Talisa in Game of Thrones. Just absolutely fantastic period piece.
Yeah, like the East India Company's involved in that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Little pirateering going on.
Oh man, I know my buddies did a podcast on it. I listened to the podcast, but yeah, that and American Gods is going to be that. I mean, a lot of us are licking our chops to get our hands on that.
Yeah, so, I know Lav is just can't wait for that one.
What? Back off, Lab. No. Yeah, a lot of people are all over that. That's going to be I think that's going to be, Stars has slowly progressed from Spartacus, which is, that's questionable. It's entertaining, to Blacksails and, you know, some other stuff. So let's see how they get. Quite the cast too. So, Tutors, Teflon's in there. Tutors boring. Yeah, it wasn't great. But yeah, I mean, I think that's always one thing I wanted to do because I kind of want to branch out and try to do different things, not just for the sake of being different, but try to mix it up a little bit and hopefully find my footing. But, you know, to talk about like Aziz's podcast that they talk about Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And because that's not it's hard to talk about shows, you know what I mean? Because it's like a lot of people, it was funny, but they bring up recurring joke. I mean, they do a good job with it. I mean, man, I should get a paycheck from him. I'm always kissing his ass on there, but I don't care. That guy's great. So everything they do, but they have a smaller podcast that they did a little Blacksails too. Right. He caught it, I think, around the same time I did. It's like Fandom Media or something. So anytime people do stuff like that, I find it very interesting. So, I mean, because doing a Game of Thrones podcast, which I do, but it's not exactly original. But yeah, it's always crazy when you can see people great when you can see people, you know, step outside the box. So,
well, Justin, it's been an hour and a half. I can't believe it. I feel like I've been on for about 15 minutes. And
I was going to try to limit it to an hour, and I think I talked for an hour for my first story. So
your introduction was an hour. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a fun story until I listen to it. That's just me and my buddies talking. This is why we don't do live podcasts. It's funny. It's funny. Everybody thought it was funny. You guys will kill to listen to me just talk.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. Well, hey, I can't thank you enough for coming out, and I've never heard a bad thing about you, and I've tried. I've like even
that's out there. Trust me.
I've tried. I've been like, what do you
might have to go to Lawrence Corner area to find it, but it's out there.
Yeah. No. No. Yeah. That's why I was real happy to finally get to know you a little bit and come on. And who you having for it? So there's one more live stream after this.
Well, no, actually, I was going to say Tony's got day 30 reserved, but starting in May, I'm going to start a new series called 30 for 30, where I'm going to do 30 minutes of live stream every day for 30 days starting May 1st. And it's just to kick off my new job, and I'm super excited about that. So, yeah, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I might be doing them all by myself, but at least it's going to be for 30 minutes, and it's going to be not reading Watchers on the Wall or Winter is Coming or any of those websites that we could all read on our own.
Yeah, no, you should though. I mean, you want to. I mean, I guarantee if I go do a video on it, I'll be too good for any of you. You know, just in a minute. So I'll be handing out the last heartbeat being a douche. So
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I want to know, and that's one of the reasons that I really like doing. I'm trying to get more comfortable doing stuff like this, and for you to have the courage, first off, to celebrate a new job. You're making whole much more work for yourself, so you have an energy I do not. You're like, well, since I'm going to be working more, then I should do 30 live streams by myself.
Well, you know, that was my original intent, is to do the 30 days of live streams. But, you know, we have so many people that are from different countries and different time zones. It just doesn't work out for everybody. So I wanted to make it as convenient for everybody as possible. But also on one of the days in May, hopefully I'll have Christina on, because I was going to wait for her for day 29, but I really want to take this opportunity to have you on the channel, explain the podcast, and also let us know about the Amino app and just so many great things that you're doing. So I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you. And remember, everybody, tell your boss to fuck off, or find the creator of that app, the guy that has sole control, and they could ruin, like, pretty much the Mark Zuckerberg of Amino, which is, yeah, I mean, it's not as good, but still, it's something. He's in Forbes. Tell the guy that was doing his interview for Forbes and talking to him about it to fuck off, and he'll promote you. So that's why
How to
I'm
move
doing
up
so
in the
good
world,
now.
folks.
Yeah, how to make it, people. But hey, thank you so much, man. It means a lot. So, and I'd love to have you on for a podcast.
Anytime.
So,
anytime.
all right. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for everybody that showed up in the chat.
Yeah, as always, as you know, I always end with eat dessert first, wander aimlessly, and grin like a dog. Thanks for coming, everybody.
And like and subscribe to my channel. That's just shameless.
That's the other
Forgot
channel.
to say it.
That's the other channel.